tonight was about Elizabeth Warren. You know, it was the first debate that she entered as a front runner, not the front runner, but she's sharing that status right now with Joe Biden. They're essentially tied in the polls. And we weren't quite sure how that dynamic would play out. Well, we found out very quickly because Elizabeth Warren was under attack almost from the very beginning. And really for the first hour, she faced really harsh criticism from multiple candidates. You know, Beto O'Rourke suggested that she essentially was tearing people down too much in her message. Andrew Yang questioned her wealth tax, which is the big way that she paid for a lot of her policies. And several candidates and the moderators as well went after her refusal to concede that paying for Medicare for all would require a tax increase. Now, it's something that even Bernie Sanders, the author of the plan, has conceded. Warren kept falling back to a defense saying that essentially overall costs would fall for everyone, which is true. But there were some awkward moments for Warren on stage. I spoke to her allies afterwards. They also conceded that things could have gone a little bit better on that front. So really incredible pressure on Elizabeth Warren. She stood strong. She didn't waver, but she clearly has some things to figure out as she gets more comfortable in that front runner status. It was also a big night for Pete Buttigieg. I mean, we're entering a new phase of the campaign where a lot more voters are paying attention. This is a 37-year-old mayor of a relatively small city, South Bend, Indiana, who isn't as well known to some voters as other candidates. He really stepped up tonight, was aggressive with Warren, with several candidates, but Warren most particularly. He looked her in the face and called her out on health care and some other issues, and really showed himself to be assertive, strong, and he seems to be trying to edge into that moderate lane that Joe Biden currently occupies. You know, I mean, Joe Biden's another story because this was essentially a status quo night for him. No big gaffes, no great moments. It was kind of a blah debate, honestly, for Joe Biden, which is probably just fine. You know, I mean, he's on top of most polls, again, tied with Warren. He didn't really need to break out, but the longer he kind of doesn't excite people, the more it could open doors for a Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, someone like that to step into it. So. With 12 candidates on stage, several needed to really have a breakout moment tonight. The thresholds for qualifying for next month's debate are higher. You have to hit 3% of the polls, more donors, and several candidates are really on the verge of dropping out of this race altogether. It seemed that several people, they did flash. I'm thinking about people like Tom Steyer, Beto O'Rourke. I could go down the list. Cory Booker had some nice moments, but there just wasn't enough oxygen for them to stand out and get that airtime that they desperately need. So remains to be seen if they'll be able to resurrect their campaigns. Odds are against them. You know, Joe Biden was asked 2 questions about it. He said he trusted his son's judgment, and no other Democrats jumped in, and folks moved on. So, I mean, Donald Trump is not going to let it go that easily, of course, but at least for the primary, that doesn't seem to be an issue for Joe Biden right now.